One, we are live.
Well, hello everybody. Happy midday, happy Monday with the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber. My name is Shannon, and it is that time of day again where we come to you live to talk about some things that are happening in our community, or we meet with small business owners or organizations, or we talk about events that are happening. And so it's always a fun hour here with the Hispano Chamber, something informative for everybody. But I do always like to start with welcoming you all, give you some time to get on to the live Facebook feed, and also want to give a shout out to the people that support this little webinar project that we've been doing now for the past 6-7 months. So a big shout out to New Mexico Tech, who has been our IT communications partner since the beginning. They're been very helpful with the way that they connect us to the world. So we're thankful to them. Also, a shout out to Angelique, who's hiding behind the scenes. She's a little elf behind the scene, as I like to call her. And she makes sure that this feed is up and running. The proper information is in there. We're tagging everybody correctly. And so it's a little project for sure, but thank you to Angelique. And this month, I want to say a big shout out to our sponsor, our host for the month, the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the USHCC, as we call them around here. Just about a year ago, they were here in Albuquerque celebrating their annual event, their 40th anniversary of being in business. They incorporated in New Mexico, so we're so excited to celebrate with them a year ago, and here we are. So we just got done with their virtual event, and now on to a new event. So I'm excited today to introduce to you somebody who is actually familiar to me. So on top of business associates and friends and all of that stuff, we actually are related. So go figure. It's New Mexico, right? No 6 degrees to separation out there for sure. So today with us we have Miss Lynette Montoya. Lynette, will you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do and who you're with.
Hi, everyone. Yes, my name is Lynette Montoya, and I am the CEO, president of the Latino Hotel Association. I have worked with the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce, and it's just been such a great relationship. Having Shannon here in the office is great. I have someone to call that I know, and Ernie, the leadership, and all of your board members are doing such a great job. And my phone is flashing. I don't know how to make it stop. And so we
dogs are barking in the background. It's okay.
like stop. And so we provide information on hotel ownership, basically, and then we also help those working in the industry, the hospitality industry, giving them advance opportunities to educate themselves further to really move up in the industry. Being from Santa Fe, I know it seemed kind of an unusual match for me to have this position, but I was working with, everybody knows Jim Long and Heritage. Well, early on, I had the opportunity to show homes to Jim and Rebecca and Michael and Rhonda, and we were working in Santa Fe. I showed them everybody's home that was anybody's home here in town. They saw Carol Burnett's home, they saw Amy Irving's home, they saw the most beautiful homes in Santa Fe. And then they decided they didn't want to move from Albuquerque. So lucky for you guys, you still have Jim and Rebecca along there in Albuquerque. But I was kind of sad. I was like, oh my gosh, I spent all this time and they didn't buy a house. So I literally knocked on their door and said, hey, obviously I'm in real estate and I know you guys are doing hotels. And I was just wondering, could I sell you a hotel? And so the story happened. It's a story I tell all the time. I asked them, what do I say? How do I make this happen? And they gave me all the words. Tell them that you want to know if they would like to do a disposition because you had a group that was looking to acquire properties. So I, again, literally knocked on doors, went to San Antonio, worked with them on a map to see where they wanted to be. And when I got to San Antonio, I literally went to the front desk and say, I'd like to speak with the owner. And next thing I know, that owner was in a position to do a disposition, and they were in a position to do an acquisition.
Oh,
And
wow.
therefore, we transacted this huge property in San Antonio. It was upwards of $32 million, and it was the St. Anthony of San Antonio, that beautiful property. And so, of course, St. Anthony is my saint. You know, us Hispanics, we have our favorite saints. And so St. Anthony really kind of led the path for my continuation in this crazy business. And so I actually had the opportunity to meet a lot of other people along the way with my door knocking and cold calling, if you will. And I met this wonderful woman in Houston, Texas, and she said, Lynette, now that you've sold this big property, you need to go to some investment conferences. So I don't know, Shannon, if you wanted this whole story, but I think it's just worth
No,
telling.
I think it's
So
great
I
because we
went
don't
to
know the
this
history.
investment conference in Los Angeles, and I walked in the door, and it was a sea of white men in gray suits. And I thought, I really don't think I belong here. um, Short, Hispanic, you know, and so I just
And
walked in there,
female, and
and
female.
female, exactly, and female. And so I just acted like I was tall. And I just literally went up to people, shook their hands, and then from there, I was able to transact some additional hotels, and then all of a sudden there was all these hotel brokers, and they were all men, and it was more difficult to compete. And I was raising my small children, and they were teenagers, and I thought, you know, recession happened 2008, 2009. I said, okay. So I started doing smaller scenarios here closer to home. And I worked with the city of Santa Fe as their director of economic development. And then I did some advancement work for St. Michael's High School when my kids were in school. So all of that, and came back around that they needed somebody to take the leadership role in the Latino Hotel Association. And I said, I love it. I get to go back and be part of this amazing industry. And it's one of those industries that once you're in, especially on the investment side, and you see the power and the economic development that these owners have in their communities, it's just overwhelmingly exciting. And so we just want to empower Latinos, Hispanics throughout the US to become owners. And so oftentimes I do meet people that say, oh, what about Mexico and what about Latin America? But the focus is on the US, and it's inspiring the wealth perspective. Like, what creates wealth? We know that multifamily homes creates wealth, real estate ownership creates wealth. How do we build our wealth and create generational wealth? So I know that was, you asked me one question and I just went all the way down the line, but I felt like it was a good segue to tell you what I do and why I do it, and why I will continue to do it until they don't want me anymore.
Well, I think what's really exciting is that first and foremost, we didn't know the history. So that's really great to know the history. I guess I've never asked you that before. But, it is important that we talk about, any Latina in any position that is a leadership position, and that's the position that you've taken. You're all over the country. I mean, I've seen you. I've actually run into you in other places in the country. So I know that you're out there, and I think that it's really, really important, especially right now. So speaking of, right now, the last obviously 6-7 months has been really life-changing, I guess you could say, for our community and our country. What are you seeing with the hotels, the owners? What are some of the things that have been maybe not so positive, the things they've had to overcome, but then also where are we at today and starting to reopen the hospitality and tourism industry?
Well, it's not been easy. And it's just like almost the worst time to be in my position. At the same time, we're seeing a lot of survival in the industry. We're seeing ups and downs in all of we have this thing called the STAR reports that literally reports almost every day what's happening in our industry. And we will get a spike and then it goes down again. So travel and meetings and all of those things that we love to do in our business, networking is just basically not happening. So I can tell you that there is a huge desire for everyone to meet up in 2021. And I'm hoping that, we get the vaccine, that there is that opportunity to go back to what we remember, because we're starting, 6 months into it, we're starting to forget, what we used to do, where we used to go. So I don't have a really good answer. And it's kind of one of those businesses that we just have to, we just will always want to travel. So like the limited services properties and a lot of the smaller properties, they're doing really well. And the drive up properties are doing really well. It's because people know they're going to just go straight into their room. Mm-hmm. It's the meeting spaces. And you all know, you're in the tourism, it's harder, to fill up all of the rooms in the city unless you have a conference that they're attending or something that brings them to our state. And so I don't even have to tell you much because you already know.
You brought up a good point though, because there's something I had never thought about. Yeah, we are at the Albuquerque Esparto Chamber. We're definitely in the convention and tourism industry, for sure, hospitality and tourism industry. And it's the third largest industry in our state. So it's really important to us when we talk about economic driver and how we continue to support that right now. But I had not thought about drive-up hotels. That's very interesting, and that concept, especially in the world that we live in today. So that is I have to talk about that a little more, because that's kind of an interesting concept. But who would ever think, right? You like the hotels, you go in, you eat dinner, you hang out. There's common areas that they share for conventions. And so, I get the struggle. We work quite a bit with Hotel Albuquerque, Adrian Montoya and team down at Hotel Albuquerque. And they have definitely experienced quite a bit. But they did finally get reopened in July. And so it's nice to see everybody back open again. And
right.
Semi-open, depending on your state and your guidelines. So we're really, really excited about that. So speaking of state and guidelines, where you guys have a national conference, an annual conference that you do, where was that supposed to take place this year?
So we were supposed to be in Miami on July 21st. Ooh. I know, we always go to Miami. Miami, we love Miami. And so you will come with me to Miami.
Jim Garcia was with you. It's so funny. Yes, he talks about it, and he's like, I have to do this impromptu, blah, 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 speech, whatever. And he's so funny about it, but he had such a good time in supporting and being out there with you. So yeah, I'm sure Miami's missing you a little bit this year.
I know, I miss them terribly, but we have a lot of good friends there and they're ready for us to come back. And then we're supposed to have a conference starting tomorrow in San Antonio. So that is our plan for next year. In fact, October 13th and 14th of 2021, we're supposed to be in San Antonio. And hopefully we'll get to go to Miami in July. So that's where our conference would have been held tomorrow, but we'll be in this little room. And there will be people watching.
We're doing, the whole world has changed. The whole world has changed. And we learned how to do everything virtual to the best of our ability. We're going through the same problem. We have our Hispanic Heritage Awards where there's usually 600-700 people, and we had to change that to virtual. We have our Legacy Day. We have a couple of hundred people. Obviously, we have Gala up in the air. And so we get it. People have been adjusting and doing some really cool stuff. We work really closely with the National Hispanic Cultural Center Foundation, Roberta Ritchie and team, and they just had Maravilla. They were already in the middle of planning. It was pretty much ready to go when COVID hit, and so they had to do some serious pivoting, I guess you could say. And they did a hybrid. We all had we went to and got dressed up in our own spaces. We had teams of, I want to say 6 or 8, whatever their max was that we could have by state guideline. They delivered food and wine and table settings. And so it was just a really unique way to be able to do that. And then you tune in on your TV or your computer to the actual program. And so bravo to them, kudos for trying to figure out how to stay engaged in the community. So we've seen some really great things. So speaking of, what can we expect from the conference? When does it start? Tell us all about it.
So the conference starts tomorrow. And if you would like to go, I will offer you a free pass. So
I think B and or CC either signed up or is signing up. So they'll be there.
Yes. So if you haven't signed up because you're listening today, I have to figure out how to make that happen, Shannon. So maybe you can help me figure that out. But we are going to be meeting from 11 to 2 Eastern time.
Okay.
And a lot of great news will be coming out of and big announcements about our association that are pivotal in everything that we're doing. We're working right now closely with the American Hotel Lodging Association, and they're setting up the platform for us tomorrow. We have on board Chip Rogers with the CEO of AHNLA. We also have Baran Patel, who will be speaking from AHOA, and that's the American Asian Hotel Owners Association. We also have a vice president from Hilton that'll be speaking, a VP from Marriott, and this is, the ones in the corporate office, even though I don't think anybody goes to an office anymore.
Yeah, we all live in our office.
And we have John Lancaster with Choice, and he's wonderful. I know, it's crazy, right? And then we have some of our owners, Benito Irastorza from Miami, and he will be speaking. And our MC is this young man by the name of Marco Roca Jr. And he's like 27, I don't even know. But his spirit and his desire to, really create the opportunities has been great. And in fact, some of our board members have done so well now during COVID that they're doing better now because they're helping others. They're helping them with strategic planning. They have found ways to use their knowledge and resources to make things better for some of the others in this industry. So.
Well, I think that's a good point. And, we have a little bit of time today, so I'm gonna talk about this just a little bit. Being that the Hispano Chamber has had the CNT department, Convention and Tourism Department, for over 40 years, whatever the exact date is, I don't know exactly, but it's been forever. And we've been so lucky to have that contract with the city. And as part of that contract, our job, that department's job, is to make sure that we are following and pushing travel into tourism into Albuquerque via conferences and conventions. Now, with the Hispano Chamber, our focus is traditionally the Hispanic market and the Native American market. So if you're out there watching and you're like, I don't understand what that means. What that means is we go out and find organizations such as the Latino Hotel Association. We say, hey, CEO Lynette, we would love to have you come to Albuquerque. We'd love to help you host your conference. We get you rooms, we'll get you set up with volunteers, we'll help you set up your conference, we'll get you entertainment. If we need to do an opening night event, what do we need to do? And that's the contract, we get paid. We have people that do that for free. This is all a free service to the conference. And then that way we can promote them coming in and basically staying in hotels, which is what helps to drive the lodger's tax. So every time you stay in a hotel, there's a tax that's put on there that usually goes back to the city, whatever city you may be staying in our case, obviously Albuquerque. And so what's really, really great about that is when you have high tourism, when you have traffic coming into your city and staying in your hotels, you're driving that tax. which allows the Hispano Chamber Convention and Tourism Department, Visit Albuquerque, and those organizations that really support tourism. And so specifically, we focus in, like I said, the Hispanic and the Native American markets. And so one thing that we've had to adjust in this time, Lynette, is how do we get, as they say in the industry, heads in beds? How do we do that? People aren't allowed to travel. People aren't allowed to, leave their homes or their states or whatever guidelines you're following within your state. And so we've had to be very, very creative and very deliberate in what we're doing within that department. And so we came up with this idea of an initiative called One Room at a Time. And we thought, you know what, even if it's just one room, even if we get somebody to take a weekend and spend with your family inside a hotel, what does that look like? And so we really, really thought this out. The team, Cecilia and B and John Lewis, who all work in the Convention and Tourism Department, all came together. And through this initiative of One Room at a Time, there's 6 different initiatives. They include staycations, where, it's like the Discovery Series. We get to see what's in Albuquerque, what's in your city, what is in your backyard you don't even know is here. And we get to take you to do that activity and then spend the night in a hotel, have some dinner, at a local restaurant, really kind of drive that tourism a little bit. The second thing we do is called Storytellers, and that's where we visit one of our hotels, such as Hotel Albuquerque or Sheraton Uptown or Andaluz, whatever hotel it may be, and they host us for dinner and a conversation. We bring somebody in that we like to call the community character, somebody that's got something big to say in the community. And we had Thomas McGay, which is one of the last code talkers. We've had a lot of really, really great people speak. And so we do that on the 3rd weekend. And again, the goal is you come, you stay at the hotel, you eat dinner. And then on the 4th weekend, we do a daycation where we take you outside of the city. And that's kind of like our adventure series. We take you somewhere in New Mexico that's a day's drive. And you come back, stay at a hotel. We have a pizza party. We also host a Monday morning music series at a local hotel where we put in one of our musicians, who is another industry that's really been hit. And we support them, pay them to perform, and hopefully let the whole world see their performance and get to meet them. And then we announce a hotel of the day. And, we also do a virtual platform for those that aren't ready to be out and travel. They can get to see the beautiful sights of Albuquerque and get to do it from the comfort of their home. So all these initiatives came together so that we could figure out how to put people into hotels. And I have to tell you, Lynette, we started this in July, August, September. This is our 4th month, and we have sold out every single month of the staycation, the daycation, and the storytellers. And the hoteliers have been very, very excited, very thankful. We offer all different ranges from Comfort Inn to Hotel Andaluz and everything in between. We're going to be at Park Central this next weekend. And so it's been really incredible. So what I love to hear about hoteliers, and I love what you said a while ago, is the creativity. How are you driving traffic? It's not just hoping anymore that they see you on the side of the highway and pull in and stay with you. It's going to be really nice to have this conference and hoteliers come together and say, what can we do to be creative and constantly be turning the wheels of ingenuity to get people through the doors so that we can keep our lodgers tax funds, hopefully up and available for people for organizations like us.
Exactly. Good job. I think that Albuquerque is really lucky to have you all. New Mexico is really lucky to have you all. And I always say this, Shannon, they're lucky that they have you working so hard.
And I always text her back and say, don't forget to tell my boss. So Ernie, if you're out there watching, no, we're lucky. And let me tell you, Lynette, we're lucky because we have a good team. It's a team effort. We have an incredible Convention and Tourism Department, a new, very, very busy membership department. And then we have Angelique, like I said, in the background, just working daily on marketing. We've been nonstop since COVID started. We've been so lucky to have the support of the community and support of our sponsors and the people that are Curious, what do you do all day? Well, what we do all day is support our members. We support economic development. We support ways and initiatives and partnerships to drive traffic, to drive people in. You know, we've had to collaborate with like the Duke City Gladiators. We've done a lot with them over the last 6 months because they're another organization that says, how can we partner? And so what's been really great is, you know, in their season, they need hotels. So what do we do?
Yes.
We reach out, we try to make the connections, we help them get set up with their players. And so there's collaborations everywhere. No matter who you are, what business you're in, try to collaborate with the community and try to find ways to maybe be creative in a way that you would create a partnership. So, you know, kudos to them for helping us everything we do. They might as well have an office in our office because they're such a good partner. But that's just an example. And so,
That's
so
awesome.
what are some of the things that the hotels are doing in your organization to try to be creative during this time?
Well, you know, there's in Miami, they're trying to get, you know, their Convention and Visitors Bureau is working really, really hard there. I just wanted to do a shout out to Walter Barella. I don't know if you know him, but I know Jim Garcia knows him. And the reason is his family has been managing hotels there in Albuquerque and all over. They have some out of state as well. And I know that their group has been, you know, really helping a lot of the owners, you know, figure out ways to stay sustainable, whether it's applying for additional loans or whatever it is, because, you know, all of this work could help, but sometimes it needs to go beyond that. And he's very resourceful and has done a really, really good job. And I think what moving forward too, you know, the one of the pieces we have is a sourcing of financing in this industry, and I know that's not like part of tourism thinking, but it is part of the sustainability of the properties. And so we work really hard at providing as much knowledge about financing and sustaining and making sure that, you know, people think that all these hotels are going to be for sale because that's my thinking, right? Because that, you know, of everything that's happening, but really people are holding on to their properties and they're working really hard to maintain them and to bring business into their properties. So, but I think what you all are doing is just beyond what I'm hearing. And, you know, I'm hearing stuff from all over, but I've seen all of your work and you guys don't sleep. So you guys amaze me. And you guys are doing a great job.
We do, like I said, we have such a great staff, but you know, we've been pretty active in the community. And so that was one of the reasons when we started talking, I said, you know, let's talk about the event and let's talk about what local hoteliers could learn from it and the importance of them registering for this event. So let's talk a little bit about where can we go to register, what is the cost, and what are we going to learn at the event?
Okay. So it's latinohotels.org, and the cost is $49. But if you're listening today, I do have a pass for you. Our sponsors, they range from all of the major brands: Hilton, Choice, Marriott, Wyndham, Hyatt, and Radisson. We also, Red Roof is a good friend. IHG is a good friend. We're really fortunate to have all of their support. We also have our strategic partners, as I mentioned, the American Hotel Lodging Association, AHOA, and then beyond that are all the other investment conference leaders. So we're here kind of on this big picture of the actual business and ownership. And so they not only own the real estate, they own the business and everything it takes to keep their business going. And so the questions that are going to be asked at this conference is, you know, were we ever prepared for COVID? How do we move forward? Can we still keep the dream of hotel ownership alive? And whatever else we need to do to just, you know, we're in the tourism business. We just got to do whatever it takes. And, going back to your efforts, I think that you guys could probably write the book and I'll just send it everywhere for you.
Well, it sounds like a collaboration is upon us, Lynette.
Yes.
We might have to look into that a little bit, for sure. We're always open to fun and creative ideas, like I said, but I definitely know that one thing that is for sure is that, the hospitality and tourism industry, I'm all over the country, I'm positive, but I know for sure in New Mexico, because it's such a big industry here in New Mexico, has really suffered. I know there's a lot of employees still out, not back at work. And so, I implore, everybody who's watching or who may see this down the road that, don't be afraid to get out and support local. It's okay. I think a lot of people don't realize how many local hoteliers there is. They see these big chains, they think of Hilton or Marriott, and right away they think corporate, and they have no idea that these are actually they're owned by locals. They're owned by local Albuquerque, New Mexicans, or from somewhere around the state. And so let's talk about that a little bit, about some of the owners that are local, and how I'm sure they would love to have your business, and by doing a little family staycation, a little getaway with your loved one for the weekend.
Yeah, so definitely that's an education piece. You just brought it up. People think that Hilton owns all the Hiltons and Marriott owns all the Marriott, and they are franchisors. So the hotels are actually owned by limited liability corporations or, individuals, corporations, but they are not owned by those brands that I just mentioned. And so that's why they support us, is because they would like to see some diversity in their ownership. And so therefore they want to talk to you. They want to tell you what you need to do, what it takes, and they're quite honest with you. And all we do is put people in the room, and maybe there's partnerships that can be made. Everyone needs a management company. Everybody needs somebody to know how to run it, because you can't just buy a hotel. So there's a lot of levels in the ownership piece for sure.
Well, and like you said, talking about just kind of educating the public a little bit, the most perfect example that we have out there, and there's a lot of them. So I mean, we can talk about that. We could do a whole series on that, but we could, just to give you guys an example, you guys see the Hyatt downtown. Everybody knows about the Hyatt downtown. I mean, it's the staple of the city. Go to Hyatt. We know Hotel Albuquerque. We know Chaco. We know Nativo. And then Santa Fe and Las Cruces. And all these people, oh, well, that's owned by a Hyatt, or that's owned by whatever the tag name is on it. They're actually owned by Heritage Hotels. And so Heritage Hotels is a large group, but they're local, home-owned, and operated, believe it or not. Right. They all live here. They all work here. They hire local. They hire New Mexicans. And I think that people don't really see that. And that includes the Hyatt downtown. And so it's important to talk to people and educate them so they understand they're business owners too. They hire locally, they're supporting locally. And so that's super, super important, and the Hyatt's really busy. I mean, right now we're closed. Convention center is closed. So conferences are not happening daily, but the Hyatt is one of those hotels that really houses a lot of the conferences and conventions that come into town. Right. And actually, I recently, we did an event with Hotel Andaluz, and I got a little bit of the background on Andaluz, with the Hilton and how they came to be. So it's, really a destination on Route 66 to be around Hotel Andaluz. And again, we go all the way back to tourism back in the 60s and back when they started. And so it's just been really incredible, the history that New Mexico has with convention and tourism and travel and hotels. And so let's talk about that. Who are some of the hoteliers that either by name or the names of the hotels that are local and home-owned that are in your association?
Well, not enough. So that's the whole point.
Great. Let's talk about it. Let's get more.
And you mentioned them, and I already mentioned the ones that I'm very well aware of. So Hence, we have a problem, or we have a not a problem. We have some information we really need to get out there. San Antonio is a huge city, and there's no Hispanic owners in San Antonio. Okay, so this is where we see that there is this huge void in knowledge and understanding, and Jim Long figured it out. He found the formula to make it happen. And he's always, as long as I've known him, he just knew how to put the pieces together. He knew how to put the people together, to put the capital together, to put the resources together. And you look at I was just looking at one of my reports that's going to come out tomorrow from Mike LaCosta over at Ethnifacts. Those numbers that we look at of the number of Hispanics and their buying power and their abilities to stay strong in any kind of environment is amazing. And we need to teach.
Because New Mexico is a minority majority state. They always say New Mexico is what the United States is going to look like in 10 years. So we want to set that trend. And so I think that to the message of what you're saying about not having enough Hispanic hoteliers, hotel owners, hotel conglomerates is just as important. And so thank you for bringing that up. So let's get back to your list. I want to hear.
Oh, no, there's so many. I mean, you all hear all of this information often. There's 62.3 million Hispanics, making up 19% of the entire U.S. population. Hispanics account for 83.1 in the labor force. That's pretty significant. Hispanic buying power has increased 25.2% since 2000. That's outpacing non-Hispanics by 109%. The life expectancy of Hispanics is 83.5, and the years of effective buying power is 56.5, which is, I mean, if I showed you this, I don't think you could see it, but can you see it, or is it backward?
No, we can see it.
Okay. So, you have, we live a long time and we buy a lot of things. And so, that's like really staggering. And then the median age of Hispanics is 29 years old. So that's like a big, that's a young number. We're vibrant. I mean, I'm not 29 anymore, but I can still say I'm 29, right?
29 and holding.
Exactly. And then the educational piece, I'm always hearing Jennifer and, just watching all of you talk about the education piece. I mean, we are becoming more educated than the other non-Latinos is the right word. There's just so much. Okay, COVID's really affected the Hispanic population. We find that Hispanics have been hit by it probably more than any other population. So, and they've had financial issues on the job, a higher amount. And if they've not gotten sick, they know someone who's gotten sick. So COVID has really played, havoc on the Hispanic population.
And a lot of them still out of work and unemployed right now. So it'd be nice to get them back into those hospitality positions, hospitality jobs. So again, I implore you, get out, support your local restaurants, your local attractions. The tram is open. I think a lot of people sometimes forget, we have wineries, we have breweries, restaurants, and of course the hotels. There's restaurants inside the hotels. You can do a little weekend getaway, and all of that goes to support all of these employees being able to get back into their space.
Exactly. So, there's a lot of issues that really motivate buying and loyalty, and worker protection and pay are the most important issues, for more than half the population. So, you know, Hispanics, you know, need to be included in that protection. And I think, you know, that's something that we hope to see some changes. And anyway, this is, you know, the election, you know, what's going to happen with the election. I think they're shaking up the electorate. And so we, you know, hopefully they will go out to vote. The population shifts of registered voters ages 18 to 34 has increased by 1.23 million.
That is a lot. A lot.
Exactly.
That is a stat I was unaware of. Wow. Definitely. That's huge.
Yes. And then over the next decade, 1 million Latinos will reach voting age.
Wow.
Every year, and almost all will be U.S. citizens. So that's kind of a really big deal. And then I have this whole thing, which I haven't really looked at, but the power of Hispanic voter turnout in swing states is going to be significant, it appears. It looks like there'll be an increase in Wisconsin and Texas, Pennsylvania.
Well, it's definitely nice to see Hispanics up in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. I mean, Texas we know, New Mexico we know, but it's nice to see that. So.
Yeah. So I know. So anyway, I have more stats than I've really completely reviewed.
But you know, stats are so important. They're important for the economy. It's important for hoteliers in your case, since that's who you're representing, for them to understand that and know how to leverage that. So I think, you know, one thing that we've learned during this time has definitely been about stats and data collection and all of that stuff, because we need it. We needed to know how to move forward.
And I'll be happy to share it with you, because this information is really important. The other piece that will be presented tomorrow is the STAR report. And that's, of course, the reporting that of how hotels are doing nationally and where the spikes have been, where, you know, and it'll be really interesting when the cold weather comes, what those stats are going to look like. So, you know, go stay at your local hotels. Go, you know, do not hesitate. Come to Santa Fe, stay somewhere here, go to Taos, go to Las Cruces, you know, just get out and stay safe, wear your masks, do everything you're supposed to, but, you know, get out there, because our economy depends on each one of us. And, you know, the economic development piece in hotel ownership is huge. The wealth prospect is huge. Maybe not so much right now, but, you know, this is a good opportunity to look at, you know, what could I do? Let me be strategic and just thinking and finding out more information at this down point of our lives. You know, I know nobody's really resting, sleeping late, because we all have things to do.
We're actually busier than we've ever been, Lynette. Busier than we've ever been. I always say I'll take 14 galas over COVID, because it's just a nonstop way. You know, your membership needs help. They need support, community outreach, community support, all of that. So it's really important.
Yeah, and you go to bed and you just can't. There's just so many things that you think, well, I should have done this, but I couldn't. But what can I do to, you know, to get this out, to provide more information, to invite more people to our conference, you know, whatever it is, we just have to work harder. But at the same time, maybe this is a good time to just, you know, come to our conference, look at this opportunity. What does it make any sense? Does, you know, working on a budget that, you know, of how a hotel works and looking at the numbers, does that make sense? Could I ever do anything like that? Could I, you know, find 5 people and we can all create an LLC? Can we, and anyway, at our conference tomorrow, we have a guy that is going to present, you know, how he did it with his, you know, 50,000 here, you know, 100,000 there, and how he was able to start his business. And we're also going to have John Garcia with SBA New Mexico. He's going to talk to us as well. So, you know, I kind of go right back to the whole.
You always come back home, Lynette.
Oh, and let's just say, we're set for 2021, but I told Jim this, we would like to commit really soon to coming to New Mexico to have our conference, and to Albuquerque, yes, and Santa Fe too. Let's do a little
You'll
both.
be working with Cecilia, and you'll be working with us at the Hispano, and we're so excited to have, the Latino Hotel Association in any capacity we can in our city to help support. We're lucky that we do have a few hoteliers that would be excited and thrilled to have you. So whenever you're ready to begin that conversation, you know my number. So give us a call.
I got your number. Got your mom's number too.
You got my mom's number too. So everybody is wondering how are you related? Well, Lynette and my mama are cousins, and so they're actually first cousins. So it's definitely family here where we're at. But
exactly.
There's no 6 degrees in New Mexico, so it doesn't even matter.
I know. I feel like you're my Albuquerque connection.
You are. I am.
I'm your Santa Fe connection.
You're my Santa Fe girl, for sure. Well, as we start to wind down the hour, I want to tell everybody we've been talking with Lynette Montoya. She's the CEO of the Latino Hotel Association. And so it's been, important to talk about some of the things that are happening in the world of hoteliers and hospitality and tourism during this time. But we did talk today a bit about the national conference, which is starting tomorrow. So Lynette, tell us one more time where we can go, where we can get ticket information, what are the times, and just a couple of subjects we'll be touching on tomorrow.
So tomorrow, today, sign up at latinohotels.org. And I have a code for you, but you have to write it down.
You got it.
FLHA 2020. So Friends y Familia LHA 2020.
You got it. FFLHA 2020. And that is one more time the website. We're going to put it in the post.
Latinohotels.org. And we're going to be talking about the state of the industry. And, you're going to hear some reporting from CEO of the American Hotel Lodging Association. And I don't know if you all do any reporting to them, but having them being a member of their organization is truly a huge benefit. You're going to hear on the stats more completely. You're going to hear the star reports. You're going to hear a panel that Chip Rogers, the CEO of HNLA, is going to talk about, were we prepared for COVID? And then we're going to talk about financing, and then how do we keep the dream alive? And we're going to have Marco Roca Sr., who's one of our board members, and some great panelists from Radisson. G6, they are the best. We are so fortunate to have G6, which is Motel 6, is on our board. If you're looking at a hotel, affordable, to consider developing, that's a good place to start for sure. So there's some Choice brands and Wyndham brands, and maybe even some Hyatt brands, even Hilton brands. I mean, there's every hotel brand has so many
available
different segments that you could develop or acquire. And then we'll do a Capitol Hill update, and then just how do we achieve success in this time of COVID. So I think everything will be really positive, and I think well worth 2 to 3 hours of your time tomorrow, and then you can join us in San Antonio next year.
So one more time, guys, tomorrow, the National Hotel Association is going to be holding their virtual national conference. It will be live and available to you at the links provided in this link here. So we hope to see you guys all there. We're going to be talking about really important things that are happening right now in the community. She's going to have some speakers from all over the country, but that are in those hotelier positions that you're going to need to speak with and know more about if it's an industry that you work in, or if you're considering becoming a franchise owner of a hotel. This would be an important conference. So again, all the information is here. I want to thank Lynette for being with us today. I do want to give a shout out. We have people watching. People are saying hi all over, and I just saw, I know you've you've been on there. I don't know if you're still on, but I want to say hello to Elizabeth Berman, who is head of Inca Cola, who's watching us all the way from the East Coast. And so I want to say thank you for tuning in. Here we are every Monday, Wednesday with the Hispano Chamber, trying to bring you something that's important to the community. And right now, we are on top of hospitality and tourism and everything that goes with that, because it is one industry that's super, super affected right now across the country. So we're going to encourage you to get out. We're going to encourage you to get the family, create your own staycation, visit the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber page at ahcnm.org, the One Room at a Time initiative, and see what's coming up next. And for any information that you may need about hotels, or if you're interested in the conference, use the information in the link and reach out to Lynette. We'll make sure that you're able to get a hold of her. So I want to tell Lynette, thank you so much for being with us today. It was a great time. I hadn't seen you. We talk, we chat, but I hadn't seen you in a while. So it's really, really good to see you. And I can't wait for the day that we can all hug and get together again. And that's coming soon. So we will see you guys on Wednesday. We have another fun group chatting with us. And I can't wait to see you guys on Wednesday. But in the meantime, you guys have a great week. And hello and goodbye from the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber and the Latino Hotel Association. Bye, everybody.